In today's video, I'm shooting the most expensive camera I've ever held in my hands, the Hasselblad X2DII paired with the 35 to 100mm zoom lens. This time I decided to match my shooting style to my tool, which is why the location for this shoot is a dystopic-looking industrial UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today I'm at... Ist der Finger richtig? I had a very clear vision for the shoot in mind, but as it always is, things took a different turn and challenged me to re-evaluate my plans. So let's see what 100 megapixels can get you. Hi and welcome to yet another video. Today we are in Essen at Zeche Zollverein, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a coal mining industrial complex. It is a very interesting building and I came here for a very specific reason because of course I want to shoot some photos. And I want to shoot some photos with this camera here, which is the Hasselblad X2DII, a new camera that Hasselblad released earlier this year. And in the past I already collaborated with Hasselblad to try their 907X model, a camera that I very dearly love and that I still keep in my arsenal and shoot regularly. And when they came out with this new camera, they also reached out again and asked if I wanted to try it, and of course I said yes. However, I have to say that this camera is a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I usually shoot with very different cameras. I'm primarily a film photographer. I shoot with small, agile, mostly 35mm cameras in fast-paced scenarios like street photography. And this here is quite the opposite. This is a big, chunky boy. It's a medium format camera, and this is why I decided to come up with something different for this shoot as well and try to see how I can make justice to this camera. This is why we're here, because I decided to look for scenes that are more monumental, that kind of slow down my photography process. And in this process of researching how I shall use this camera, I tried to also find and source some inspiration for this shoot. And I decided to look for photographers who are actually known for their work in this Ruhrpott area in Germany and documented some of the buildings here. So for today I decided to orient myself to photographers like Hilla and Bernd Becher, who did this incredible black and white series in a typological style to showcase and document the Ruhrpott buildings, and also Andreas Gursky, who you might know because I think he sold like one of the most expensive photography prints ever. I'm not sure. Anyway. Yeah, he took these stitched, very monumental, insanely detailed photos in this region here as well. And yeah, let's see if we can find some interesting compositions and shots that kind of capture the scale of this place while simultaneously retaining the details. So, without any further ado, let's see and take some shots. Firstly though, for transparency, Hasselblad has sent the body and lens for me to try out and keep, which is why this video can be considered a paid collaboration. The leading lines, oh my god. Nonetheless, I will tell you my honest opinion and talk openly about my shooting experience with this camera, coming from a rather different photographic background. Honestly, every corner just looks interesting. These like red brick buildings and the red paint overall. I don't know, just has something. And we were very blessed with the weather today because it's not great, which honestly for a location like this actually is, I think, favorable, because who wants to be at this place in bright sunlight? You need to capture some moody scenes, and I do think that an overcast day definitely helps with that. Die Kurven hier. Die Kurven sagen auch Leute entweder nur über ihre Frauen, über ihre Autos oder FotografInnen über ihre Gebäude. You might also be curious what location this is we're exploring today. The Zeche Zollverein is often referred to as the most beautiful coal mine in the world, located in the heart of the Ruhrpott in Germany. The coal production here began in 1851, where the coal mines and coking plants remained active up until the late 1990s. Visually, the Zeche Zollverein is known for the clean lines and functional industrial design, with one of the most prominent elements being the Shaft 12, designed by Fritz Schupp and Martin Kremmer in a striking Bauhaus style.
Deine Haarfarbe matcht sehr gut mit dem Rot von den Gebäuden.
Ja, da habe ich für heute abgesprochen. Ich dachte, ich mache das mal so. Some hard facts about the camera. The Hasselblad X2DII that came out in August this year is the successor to the Hasselblad X2D that was released back in 2022. Just as the earlier model, this one is an SLR-style camera with a 100 megapixels medium format sensor and 1 terabyte of internal storage. This newer model comes with some interesting improvements to the build and functions, which I will tell you about later. 100 megapixels, medium format sensor. If this cannot capture the details of all this, I don't know what can. Okay, let's see how we can improve this composition, because I do think the space on top and on the bottom is a bit empty, but I like this kind of spread out garbage cans here, cars here, power plant there. It is a little bit of, it has a bit of a Gursky vibe, but I don't know how to improve the composition further. Let's see how we can think. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Some layers, some depth, and just some randomness. I think this is all the sparkles we need for an interesting photo. So this place is very inviting to also convert your images to black and white, but I try to stick to color photography for the majority of the time, also because I kind of want to not copy my inspiration, but just seek inspiration and do my own thing. And I do think tackling myself to shoot color here is a good idea. And in addition, the color science from this camera is just beautiful. Like, the colors look incredible straight out of camera. So I try to train my eye to look more in color, even though we have like structures that might look well in black and white. But Hasselblad's natural color science honestly would convert me to be a fully color photographer with no problems at all. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but damn, that grass is green. The Hasselblad grass is very green. Shall we go up? Shall we try? So I would also like to talk about some novelties with this camera, even though I haven't used the predecessor, the X2DII, before. So the X2DII, a lot of D's and 2's in the name, is the first one of the SLR-style Hasselblad cameras I've used. But there are a couple of visual but also internal differences in comparison to the earlier model. Firstly, the design is different. It is this graphite color and not a totally black body, which I personally think is a very sleek and very, very nice looking choice here. We don't have the lettering on the camera filled out with any paint, but it's just a pure engraving, which I think looks very, very nice. We also have a bit of a different grip texture. This is this elephant skin type of grip, which looks a bit odd, but honestly feels amazing in your hand. We have 2 additional buttons that you can configure yourself, and we have a joystick that we didn't have on the earlier model. We have a screen that flips out and tilts out, doesn't block the viewfinder as it apparently did with the earlier model. And we also have some nice improvements to the internal design of this camera. So we have more AF points, 425 to be precise, and also a way faster autofocus. This is still a slow-ish camera because it's a medium format sensor, therefore everything takes a bit more time to process. But I used this camera in my home city of Münster just a couple of days ago to shoot cyclists, and I was very impressed how fast the AF actually can track a subject, which I think is very good. For today, we will not really make use of the improved AF because I will take my time and have like more slow subjects in the focus, but it's still nice to know that this is possible. So if I press the focus and then Jakob moves, you can see that it still sticks to his face, to his eye, and is very, very consistent with it. It doesn't lose the focus, but is pretty much glued to him. And I can take the shot, easy. So we also have improved IBIS with 5 axes and 10 stops of body image stabilization, which is also very useful in combination with the improved AF to have a bit more versatility when it comes to moving subjects. All the way there, tiny people. And you can see the scale. Oh, I mean, they're very small, but I think this kind of, oh, here, they're in the light here. I think this makes the difference. I like this one. We, by the way, made it to the rooftop of the Zeche Zollverein museum building, which is very impressive because we have a 360 view on here, and I also switched my camera into the panoramic aspect ratio because I thought we're on a panoramic rooftop. Let's take some panoramic shots. And this is something I love about the Hasselblad, that you can have internal crop modes so that you don't have to crop your images after you've taken them, but you can actually think in the aspect ratio that you've selected. And the X-Band camera is one of my absolute favorite cameras I've ever used. So being able to shoot X-Band style images in camera with a digital camera, I think is pretty cool. Everything looks so small from above. It looks like miniature ants of people and cars just going on about their life. I don't know, I think it kind of grounds yourself seeing life from this perspective. We're being philosophical here. It's not a philosophy channel, so let's continue to shoot and not break our camera. How about that, huh?
One thing I haven't talked about much yet is the lens. The XTD 35-100E zoom lens that I've used for this shoot. It's Hasselblad's standard zoom lens and covers all important focal lengths from wide over normal to tele, offering a wide range of perspectives.
Some keywords for this video were monumental, big, large scale. I think we definitely getting what I wished for here.
The E in the name stands for the top optical performance, since it has the same edge-to-edge image quality as Hasselblad's prime lenses, so that you don't have any trade-offs when it comes to sharpness. I'm usually not a zoom lens type of person, but I have to admit that it made my life way easier. Also, having f2.8 to f4 as maximum aperture, which is about f2.2 to f3.2 as a full frame equivalent, made it easy to get shots from the inside with less available light. Today, the factories at the Zeche Zollverein are closed, but this place still remains an important cultural and recreational center. There are several museums on the premises, regular exhibitions and concerts that are taking place, as well as seasonal events like a Christmas market or access to an industrial swimming pool.
I really like shooting these buildings, but I think it's also interesting to have like people for scale. There's not many people around, but I think I will try to maybe sneak in a couple of people from the background or from behind, just to kind of give these buildings a scale. Talking about people and scale, look what we have here. Person with the dog. I said earlier to Jakob that this looks like a dystopian fun fair, like without the fun maybe. It just looks like, I don't know, like straight from a dystopian movie. So nice, so incredible. No dogs allowed. It is fast. You cannot say the Hasselblad is slow, it is fast. I got them, I think. Yeah. Verrückt. Ich glaube, da müssen wir noch mal näher rangehen, so ein bisschen.
So far, shooting with the X2DII has been a calm and immersive experience that encourages a slower, more deliberate approach to photography. The colors look incredible straight out of camera, and all of the images you see here were barely edited. The minimalist design of the camera and the intuitive controls help you to stay focused on composition rather than settings. Overall, the X2DII feels less like a tool for quick snapshots and more like an instrument for thoughtful visual storytelling.
But Jakob, what are your thoughts about this place?
It is very cool here.
Das kommt definitiv rein. The sharpness is insane. You can zoom in forever and everything's just sharp. And look at that, it's just like such a simple but fun shot. No, but I was just complaining that I'm not very satisfied with my shots. I know that I'm a perfectionist and that it easily happens that I'm dissatisfied because I just want a bit more and just want to improve myself. But I honestly also think it is very important to roll with what you have and roll with the circumstances you have. You have an overcast day, you have a sunny day, you have a weird mixture of both, whatever it is. I think waiting for the perfect conditions or for the perfect shot to roll by just stops you and kind of takes back the fun of it. So I think just rolling with what you have is very necessary, and I have to remind myself of that very, very regularly over and over again. I'm not sure if these will be groundbreaking shots or not, probably not. But I was here, I had fun, maybe I have one or two keepers, and that's what counts.
After looking at my images from the day, I wasn't very pleased, but honestly a bit disappointed with my work. Even though I wished for an overcast day initially, I much preferred the few images where the light came out, which made the rest of the images seem kind of bland and dull in comparison.
Ein Porträt von dir im Spiegel.
Ja, von dir.
Spider-Man-Meme, kennst du das? There's like this random ass mirror just standing here, and it looks so nice. These might be some of my favorite shots actually, very unexpected but very fun. This is why light makes all the difference. I know that I said overcast day is pretty cool for this location, but some sunlight is even cooler if I'm honest. The little moments of sunlight we had, amazing. So please bring me back some more of those.
Since I wanted to explore the Hasselblad colors more on a brighter day, I decided to visit another location I've been eager to shoot, the Braunkohletagebau in Garzweiler, a lignite open pit mine which in fact is one of the largest lignite mining pits in Europe. Even though debates about the impact on the environment and climate are still ongoing, part of the mine is still active today. In the past, entire villages have been resettled, leaving this massive hole in the ground.
I think we came here during the perfect time. It's almost like sunset. The light is amazing. I'm very happy that I came here as a second location. Looks like a desert. Looks surreal. So I also wanted to show you a feature of the Hasselblad X2DII because it has HDR mode. And I've been shooting with HDR mode this entire time, but here I can illustrate you how it actually looks in comparison to the not HDR mode. So here's an image with HDR and here's one without. Crazy difference, right?
I'm very happy that I visited two locations because this allowed me to take a step back and re-evaluate my work for this project. Overall, I don't think I managed to translate my inspiration into my own work, and maybe that is actually a good thing. I didn't capture the typological character of the Zeche like in the black and white images of the Bechers, and I also didn't capture a sense of morphed perspective or scale as in Gursky's stitched images. However, I realized that I did something else instead. Keep the inspiration in the back of my head and have it influence me subconsciously while essentially doing my own thing. After looking through the images, I realized that I have this little mini theme going on, where I incorporated two people in the frame to give the space a sense of scale, which differs from my inspiration since they didn't incorporate any people at all. This tiny selection from the Zeche Zollverein in Essen and maybe one or two images from Garzweiler are the keepers for the project so far that could make an interesting gateway to keep working on it. I could see these images be printed on a big scale, which is also indirectly reminiscent of Gursky's and the Becher's work. Thus, even when I was initially disappointed with my images, I think it's actually the typical outcome when starting a new project. Not having the perfect end results yet, but having a base and some new leads to follow up on in the future and let the project take shape and unfold as you continue to work on it.
So, what is my verdict? I've used this camera for quite a while now, not only today but also in the last couple of weeks, and I think I got a quite good grip about what this camera can do since I'm already familiar with the 907X, which pretty much is the same sensor, and no surprise, this also was a lot of fun to shoot. The camera menu is very intuitive, just very easy to navigate. It's a lot of fun to hold this camera in your hand, to operate it, to shoot. The images, from what I can see, look amazing. The colors are just stunningly beautiful. So overall, I enjoyed using this camera a lot. However, I really have to reflect on if this camera's shooting style resonates with my work in the way that I would like it to be. For today's shoot, I decided to kind of match my shooting style to what the camera can offer. So I decided to go for a slower setting with more monumental, complex, but at the same time minimal and slow compositions. I didn't use this camera in my usual shooting style, as for example taking it out on the street, because I wanted to see the pure advantages of this camera. But in the long term, I'm not sure how this camera would actually integrate in my overall workflow, even though this is probably the highest quality, image quality-wise camera I've ever used, the best all-arounder. I really have to reflect if this camera makes sense in my setup. And that being said, I would say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in and joining me on this fun day at Zeche Zollverein in Essen, and see you in the next episode.